What's up, everybody? How's it going? How's your Friday? How's the weekend? How's the weekend going? What's going on TikTok? What is up? How's it going, YouTube? Another wonderful day in the land of coding. What's up, Bid Kariv from TikTok? How are you? Welcome, welcome. We're just going to talk about some code today. That'll be fun. How's YouTube doing? Where's the love in the chats? All right. What's up, everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here in a moment. We're just going to talk some code today. It's the weekend. I bet everybody's getting off work early and just preparing for whatever you guys do on the weekends, right? What's going up, Happy Hindu from YouTube? What's going on? How we doing, TikTok? Where's all your wonderful faces? I am Bear. What's going on? Hello to you. There we go. There's the YouTube. What's going on? Florentino, Samuel, welcome, welcome. I'm Jason. I'm a full stack developer here at DevSlopes. So we're just going to talk about tech and code. If you have questions or anything about getting started with programming or different tech stacks, I'd be happy to chat about it. What's going on? iFatMa and the sunny side joined. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we're just going to talk code and everything. It's going to be fun. Who's been coding this week? Who is coding this week? I've been coding all week. I've been working with React, Mongo, Express, Node, and sockets. I've been working with Socket.io, building a chat app. So you've got these live connections going on, these listeners for different events. So you can have multiple apps opened up. Both the apps are going to post and receive channels and messages. So I am Bear. I am coding right now, actually. That's awesome. What are you coding? What kind of stack are you using? Samuel asks, Jason, you are a good motivator. What's your take on listening and watching tutorials? So Samuel, that's a really good question. So I think tutorials, there's obviously when you're first learning, tutorials are good to start out with, right? Because you're getting an introduction to a new technology. You're kind of seeing it in action and how it works. Now, with that being said, there's, the time where, baby bear's got to leave the den, right? And you can't stay stuck in tutorials. Otherwise, you're never going to truly start learning how to think like a developer. You're going to know the different tools that are available. You'll maybe see how somebody else put something together, but you've got to get out of the tutorials at some point sooner than later and start building your own projects. All right, because when you're building your own projects and not following a tutorial, it's going to start teaching you and training your mind to solve problems and to break complex, challenges into smaller challenges. So you can, take it one step at a time. So do the tutorials for, however long to get the basics, but then start Googling some really good project ideas to start building on your own. Or if you have an idea for some type of piece of software or an app or something, then you should go out and you should start building it. All right, so I'm a self-taught developer, and I wasted probably 5 to 6 months longer than I should have being stuck in tutorials. And it was because I always felt like that I didn't know enough. I was like, well, I don't know enough, so I'm just going to keep binging, different tutorials. But it wasn't until I got this freelance project working with this client who this software was so unique. It was it was actually a cryptocurrency piece of software. And so it was way different than any tutorial that I had ever watched. And so it literally just forced me to think outside of the box and to start problem solving on my own. And I kid you not, as soon as I took this project on and then I was able to, complete it and deliver it, it's like the one project that connected all the dots, everything that I still questioned about programming, or maybe gaps that I was missing, things that I didn't understand. It was that project that just connected all the dots for me. And I felt like I could finally code something on my own without a tutorial. What's going on, TikTok? I'll get to some of these questions here in a little bit, TikTok. So stick around. I'm going to answer a few questions from YouTube, and then we'll hop over here. Don't mind if some of my mullet is like, it's trying to party already. My mullet's trying to party early, but it has to wait till later tonight. But it looks like it's ready for the weekend. All right, let's see what else we've got here. So Samuel, thank you. Great question. Happy Hindu, Xcode. Yeah, Xcode's cool for iOS development. Let's see, Abraham. I want to start my programming. What language should I learn? Because I am new to it and I have zero knowledge. So Abraham, this is a very common question that I get asked all the time. And the answer that I always give is you need to decide what you want to do with programming. All right. Do you want to do web development? Do you want to start building iOS apps or Android apps? Do you want to build robots that, take off and go and land on Mars? Do you want to work on embedded systems? Do you want to do scripting? Do you want to do, hacking? Like, what type of programming do you want to do? Don't just pick a language because it's popular. All right. Pick something that's going to take you in the direction of what it is you want to do. So for me, when I first started, I was like, hands down, I'm doing iOS development. It's the cool thing. It's what all the cool kids are doing. I'm going to build apps. So I got into development. I started tinkering around with iOS. And then I tried web development. And I fell in love with web, like specifically working with like React. And so I decided to be a web developer. Now, iOS developers, they make a little bit more. But you know what? My passion shifted from iOS and I liked web. And so I'm a lot happier doing web development. Let's see, Francisco, tutorials are good references. They are good references. What I've also found is after you get, enough tutorials under your belt, it's so much faster and easier to start reading documentation, because I don't like, skipping the video or scrubbing the video to get to different parts, right? So I can kind of find an example of what I'm looking for. Documentation and reading is way faster, in my opinion, than video tutorials. Video tutorials are great in the beginning, but once you kind of get those basics down, just move into documentation. Somebody asks, Happy Hindu asks, what is Binance? Isn't that a cryptocurrency? What do they call it? A cryptocurrency like market, like trading. It's where you go and you trade cryptocurrency, Binance. What's up, Jordan? All right. Hey, TikTok, what's going on? Let's do some questions here. Let's see. Who do we have? So Thiike, I think that's how you pronounce it. Thiike. I don't know. I'm actually, let's see, own a company called CryptBid Corp. And we are always in search of developers for iOS. Any advice? I mean, you could, now I've never reached out to hire anybody, but I imagine you could reach out to people on Upwork. You can probably find people on LinkedIn. Might be another good place to find iOS developers. Let's see. It involves a cryptocurrency sports gambling platform. What are in search of seed funding, but have? Okay, cool. Yeah, crypto apps are fun. So I've done a little bit of development with cryptocurrency. So like NEM, Zem, the cryptocurrency NEM is the company, and their blockchain was awesome to work with because it's all built in JavaScript. So unlike Ethereum, right, where you have to go learn Solidity, which is some like crazy alien-like language. When I was first diving into Solidity, Ethereum was still fairly new. The whole development on the Ethereum blockchain was new. And so the documentation, it sucked for Solidity. And so it was very difficult to learn. But NEM was amazing because it was all in JavaScript. And their API was so easy and intuitive to start working with API calls. So a lot of these other cryptocurrency or these other blockchain technologies, working with the database, like there were so many layers that you had to build to get that blockchain app to communicate with an API. But Nem was my favorite. All right, are college degrees becoming obsolete? In the sense of computer science degree, if you're talking specifically about that, you do not need a computer science degree to be a programmer. Like, you just don't. At the end of the day, all a company cares about is, can you code or can you not code? That's it. And in my experience, computer science degrees have some of the least hands-on experience of any development program. Like, cool, you know a lot of theory, but that's not going to help you be successful at a job, right? Or doing freelance projects. They don't teach you the skills to be successful in the work market for programming, all right? They don't teach you how to use the terminal, NPM packages, version control, Git, all those core things. You know, it's not a good way of teaching. Let's see, life with Paulo, is it Solidity or Solidity? Oh, it's Solidity. You're right. I mispronounced it. My apologies. Thank you for calling me out. I appreciate it. It's Solidity, not Solicity. Solidity is the blockchain tech for Ethereum. Let's see. Going 200K for a computer science degree is a smart move? Absolutely not. That is a massive waste of money. I've had friends and family go and get computer science degree, and after the 4 years, they get a bachelor's in computer science. And then after 4 years, it's like they still barely have any hands-on experience and don't know a lot of what they're doing. And I've had, you know, immediate family, like my older brother, okay? And I've had very, very close friends get computer science degree, and right out of the gates, they still have no idea what they're doing. All right. And they actually go finish up their learning with online tutorials from YouTube and stuff. So it's like, why did you spend $80,000 for a computer science degree if, you know, it's not working out? And then on top of that, so a very, very good example, my brother, my older brother, he got a computer science degree. Okay. Bless his heart. This is no, you know, trash talk on him. That's the path he chose. And that's great. So he went and he took his computer science degree. It took him 4 years. I'm a self-taught developer. All right. I did the self-taught route, which was difficult and hard on my own. And within 10 months, landed my first actual job. All right. Within 10 months. So I was already getting paid. I was already getting paid as a developer, and I was already getting experience in the field. And he was still trying to finish up his computer science degree. And then, you know, long story short, I ended up working at Dell Computers as a full stack engineer. So I was at Dell Computers for several years, and I got there way faster, started getting paid way more, and got raises way faster than him on his journey with the computer science degree. But, you know, he got his computer science degree years ago. So now he's obtained that experience. And so he's got all of that going for him. So good for him. Let's see. Gypto. I don't think it's a waste if you take the time to learn while earning the degree. Well, if you're taking the time to learn while you're earning a computer science degree, why are you paying money for it? All that information you can, I mean, if you want to do enterprise development, like, because they teach a lot of Java and like C, C#, things like that. Now, I didn't get a computer science degree, so if that's a little bit off, don't haze me for it. But those are enterprise languages, all right? But the job market is super hot with a lot of different technologies. Now, there still is like Java developers. My dad's a Java developer. And Java developers, to me, with my goals in programming, being a Java developer seems like the absolute most boring, mundane thing that you can do. Like, I hear my dad talk about his job, and it like is so beyond boring. Like, it's like, how could you be coding for this company for 20 years? Like, that is so boring what you do. Whereas me, I've learned stacks like Angular and React. I've worked in Vue. I've done a little bit of Flutter, but I've dipped into all these newer frameworks and libraries. I've had 10 times more fun doing it. And I don't know, the job market's hot for stuff like that. So let's see. You want to make the switch to programming? You should. The commentor, or the comment. I can't even pronounce that. You should make the switch to programming. I had a background in sales for 10 years, and I did one of these midlife career changes. I just couldn't stand the career that I was doing. I had to get out of it. And so in the middle of having a family and this whole life and just everything, I just cold turkeyed my job and then made the immediate switch into programming. And I will tell you right now, it has completely changed my life. It has opened up opportunities, both career-wise and also financially. It's just changed my life. I've been able to work remotely for the last 3.5 years. So let's see. Dang, 100K must be nice. How long did it take to get a pay like that? So Game for Life, in my experience, if you, from your very first programming job, if you're not making 6 figures within 3 years, maybe a little bit more, then I would either negotiate your salary or find a new job, because somebody's going to pay you that type of a salary. Like, it's very, very common with a developer with 3 years of experience under their belt to be making 6 figures or more. All right. Do you know .NET? I do not. Again, it's one of those programming languages. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it sounds so insanely boring that I would never want to take the time to learn it. All right, I'm going to hop over here to YouTube. What's going on, YouTube? All right, we've got some good questions over here. Let's see, Ram Prasad Moat. I tried to learn Java. Please tell me the Java roadmap, J2EE. You know what? I've done a little bit of Java when I've done Android development back in the day. I've never built anything from a production standpoint. I cannot give you a roadmap to Java. Let's see, Alouch. What's up? I was wondering how to get dedicated to learn to code. So you've got to obviously find a motivation. Okay, so my motivation getting into programming, I had a job. I was making super good money. I was a regional manager for a sales company. I was making, great money and everything, but I hated what I was doing. I hated that it took me away from my families on the weekends, on the holidays, how demanding the hours were being in regional sales. And so I've always been interested in tech and like programming. So I dived into it. I fell in love with it. And then I was like, this is exactly what I want to be doing. This is the career that I want. I want to put on my headphones. I want to rock out, and I just want to code. That's it. So that was my motivation. And during my, self-taught journey, I became very frustrated. I was lost. It sucked doing it on my own. I wish I had other programmers to talk to, something like that, so I could get questions answered. But I was motivated because I just kept thinking about how much I hated my family, or how much I hated my job and how much I wanted to be with my family. All right. So my family was the primary motivation, because I wanted to provide an incredible lifestyle for them. So yeah, you've got to find a good motivation, because it's easy to get discouraged programming on your own. And if you want some more structure, coding on your own, a little bit more guidance, I'm a mentor and a coach at our DevSlopes Web Academy. It's online. So I will work with you personally. If you want to learn how to code, I will review your code. There's going to be assignments. You'll turn those in. I will personally review your code. I will tell you, what's good, what can be changed. If you're on, doing good practices, we have live weekly meetups every single Saturday. We just hop on, talk code, tech, freelance, jobs. So it's really, really amazing. Go to devslopes.com/apply. And then you can get a free career coaching call with one of our team members. All right. Let's see. Welcome, Roy from Kenya. That's awesome. And then Jack asks, do Android developers make more than iOS developers? I guess it kind of depends on the city or the location that you're in. From what I've seen, iOS developers usually make a little bit more, but Android and iOS are a little, they're pretty neck to neck in most cases. But in my experience, iOS usually leans a little bit more on the salary side, higher paid salary. Happy Hindu, what do you think about Apple absolutely slaughtering Intel with M1? I haven't followed that like a ton, but I think the M1 is pretty cool. I mean, I bought my wife the new MacBook Air with the M1, and she loves it. So, but as far as the tech goes and all that stuff, I haven't paid a lot of attention to that. Let's see, I am Bear. Do you have a problem remembering your syntax and the way strings interact with each other in the HTML and CSS? Also, do you recommend Docker if you're doing Git-worthy programming? So in the beginning, sure, I got confused with the syntax. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I made when learning to code on my own is I jumped into Angular like way too soon. Like I was still like very new to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, I was still trying to get the syntax down. I was still trying to understand exactly what I was doing. And then I was like, oh, I'm going to be a mean stack developer, Mongo Express, Angular, and Node. I didn't know this, but Angular is a beast of a framework, okay? It covers end-to-end, front-end to back-end, all your HTTP requests, everything. Angular also has a very, very syntax-specific things that you'll only find in Angular. And then on top of that, learning TypeScript, that was an insane learning curve. And so when I was diving into Angular, I really struggled drawing that line between what is normal syntax that I'll find in HTML, and then syntax for JavaScript, and then trying to split the difference between TypeScript and regular JavaScript. I was still so new at that stuff. So that's why my journey trying to learn to code on my own, I feel like it took a lot longer than most people. All right. And I mean, I'm sure there's those who dive into Angular first as the first framework. But for me, it was very, very confusing. And had I talked to, somebody else, had I had a mentor or a coach or developer friends to answer some simple questions and give me guidance and direction, that would have been so helpful. That's one of the motivations why I left Dell Computers to hop over to DevSlopes as a mentor and a coach, because I've been through that whole learning path, self-taught developer. It sucks doing it on your own. And so I really enjoy helping students get to the fast track of learning how to code. And then not only that, it's one thing to learn the skills, but what about the other side of the spectrum, trying to get a job? The career prep, the interview process, how to be successful in the job market, like what skills do you really need to learn? And so at the DevSlopes Academy, we do all of that. So we teach you how to code, and then we work with you until you are successful by either landing freelance projects or getting a job. Like we work with you until you get paid. If you go to an interview, okay, and you bomb the interview, you come back, you talk with me, all right? Tell me kind of what questions were asked, where you kind of, fumbled, what things that you didn't know. And then I work with you to prep you for the next interview, and then the next, and the next, and the next. And I do this all day, all right? So my goal is to make sure that you get paid and lifetime access. And again, if you want the type of coaching, mentoring, all that jazz, go to devslopes.com/apply. All right. What else do we have here? All right. TikTok. I'm going to jump over to some questions over here in just a bit, so stick around. How important is building a brand for becoming a web dev freelancer? That's a good question. So I did freelance work for, I think it was 2 years. I provided for my family just solely doing freelance projects. And I mean, I did have a brand like an LLC, like a little company name, but people really knew me by name and was like, oh, go find Jason. Like he's an amazing developer. He'll get this done. He does really good work. And so I didn't focus too much on the branding. I just focused a lot on building relationships with people, right? So that I could earn their business. Happy Hindo, you want motivation? Listen to Eminem's Lose Yourself. Heck yeah, for sure. Hey, what's going on, Philip? What's up? Let's see. How much does that cost? I'm going to assume you're talking about the DevSlopes Academy. So there's so many different pricing options, whether paying in full, splitting it up into, fewer or more payments. So it's usually around the price of like a semester of college. All right. It's less than other boot camps out there, but there's also way more value that you're not going to find anywhere else, like anywhere else. All right. So go to devslopes.com/apply. Just set up a free call with one of our career coaches and see if the academy is even for you. Like we don't force anybody. We're not like, oh, we're going to pressure you to sign up. Like, some of these crazy colleges that try to pressure you to join. But, if the academy is for you, great. If it's not, that's fine. Some people, we don't even let everybody in. All right. But you should go apply and see if it's something that you would be interested in. Alex says, you are my inspiration, bro. I started focusing more on Python. That's awesome, Alex. That's really amazing. Again, if you're ever interested in, some mentorship, career coaching, things like that, you can check out the academy. I'm the instructor in the Web Academy. I'd be happy to work with you. So Glenn asks, Python or Node.js? So both of them you can use for backend, right? For writing backend code. I personally like Node. So I do a lot of web development. All right. So I work with like JavaScript and React. I love Node because it's already in JavaScript. It allows you to write JavaScript on the server. So I don't need to go and learn a different technology like Python or PHP or whatever. I can just keep everything in the same code base and just do JavaScript. So I'm 100% hands down Node.js all the time for everything that I do. I mean, I guess there was another time that I did use a different backend technology, but that was years ago. But I do everything in Node. All right, what's up, TikTok? Let's get some questions going here. We're gonna end here in a few minutes. I'm gonna get back to my Friday coding, and you can get back to your Friday, hopefully coding. All right. Let's see what we got. What's the best to use between Windows and Mac? It really comes down to personal preference. I've used both. Okay, I guess I favor Macs, all right? Macs out of the box, they ship with way more tools and everything you need to get up and running and programming. Now, when I was a full stack engineer at Dell Computers, yeah, I used a Windows computer. It was fine. It's not like I hated my life using Windows. It was fine. But I am so grateful to be using my MacBook again. Like, oh my gosh, it's just amazing. Everything just works. It's got all the tools, the environment that I need to code. And granted, on the flip side, right, once there's so much more setup with a Windows computer to get up and running to start coding. But once it's set up, and for the most part, it's kind of smooth sailing from there. But until Windows forces you with their freaking updates all the time, I can't tell you how many times that's happened. I've been in the middle of coding. This is when I was at Dell. In the middle of coding, and then, you get a little pop-up like, oh, you need to update your computer. We're going to, do a force update in X amount of time. And I kept like ignoring it. But at Dell, there's a lot of securities. There's their own software updates or patches that they push out. And so they will literally force your computer to just update. So I'd be coding and then it's like, boom, forced update, blue screen, little loading indicator. And then I'd be, out of coding for like an hour and a half. So that kind of sucked. Let's see. Is it enough to start freelancing with Flutter after just coding a Udemy course? Try it out. See if it is. I mean, work with the client and kind of get the scope of work of what you need to do. Also keep in mind, that a lot of the stuff that you're going to be building, like think about this, everything out there has some type of a backend or talks to an API. So if these Flutter courses on Udemy were, teaching you how to use some of those backend, connect to an API, do all that stuff, CRUD operations, sure, you've got to sometimes throw yourself in the fire, right, to kind of gauge where your skills are at. So I think that's awesome that you bring that up. So when I first started coding, all right, I did freelance projects to build my portfolio before I actually got my first job to help kind of build some of my credibility. So after 12 weeks of coding, all right, self-taught, 12 weeks of coding, I was like feeling pretty good, doing all the tutorials. I was like, I'm going to go take on a project. And so I started applying for jobs, all right? And I found a contract position, a 3-month contract position. Somebody wanted me to build a specific piece of software. And they were the first people to say yes to me, because they looked on paper and they're like, dude, this guy's only got 12 weeks of experience under his belt. And the only portfolio he has is some little tutorial projects, which is worth nothing. You should never put tutorial projects as portfolio items. Well, I guess if they're super intense and a lot of it you did on your own, maybe. But anyways, this company said yes to me. And I got the project and it was so over my head. And it was complex. Like for somebody, like looking back on it now, it's like, oh, I could have figured that out. It would have been no problem. But 12 weeks experience, I had to subcontract somebody else to finish the project for me. So this company contracted me. And then without them knowing, I subcontracted somebody else to help me finish it because it was just too complex for my really inexperienced beginner status. It was awesome. What would you recommend for someone who is trying to develop strong Java skills? Start building Java projects without tutorials. Like if that's what you want to do, then go, I don't know, do a Google search of some of the top Java projects for beginners, get some ideas, and then try to build that project without a tutorial, because that's going to teach you the problem-solving skills and how to analyze different challenges and come up with solutions. All right, that's how you become a developer. It's not just knowing all the skills out of the gates and remember all the algorithms and data structures and just how to do everything and use all the tools that are available to you. You're going to spend 90% of your time as a developer Googling, maybe a little bit more. You'll spend 5 to 10% of your time actually writing code. All right, most of your time is going to be spent Googling. So you've got to be able to know how to solve problems and become a master of Googling. There's actually an art to Googling as a developer. It's not traditional Googling. It's different with the developer. Let's see. What are frameworks like a bunch of libraries or APIs? So a framework, for an example, so Angular is a framework. So you've got JavaScript, which is the base language. You could build an interactive website using just JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript and HTML, okay? Angular is a framework, okay, because it's a full stack technology, and it works on top of the JavaScript and on top of the HTML, and so it allows you to do DOM manipulations like 10 times easier. You can build in components, so you've got reusable blocks of code, and it just makes building like interactive websites 10 times easier, and even large software projects. And then you've got like Next.js. So React is a front end. It's a library, okay, because it's not full stack. It's a UI library. And so you've got things like Next.js, which is a framework built on top of React. So you can still build in React, but Next.js is a static site generator. All right, so that's a framework, is usually something that kind of sits on top of the tech stack. And there is a difference between libraries and frameworks. Oh my gosh, I've been rambling here for 40 minutes. That's crazy. Yeah, the commenter code, yeah, like 5% of your time, I kid you not. 5% of the time you'll spend coding. The other part, it's just Googling. Googling. Let's see. Squared mo depends on how much data you are handling. Yeah, that's true. Angular isn't a full stack tech. You don't use Angular to write backend code. Yeah, of course. You don't use Angular doesn't ship with the backend. All right, that's not what I meant. If that's how it was interpreted, I apologize. Obviously, the mean stack is Mongo, Express, Angular, and Node, right? Angular gives you all the tools that you need out of the box to communicate with APIs and the backend code. You still need to build the backend, but Angular ships with all those tools to work full stack applications, whereas React is just a UI library. If you want to work with APIs or anything, you have to go download like libraries like Axios. I mean, you could use the native like Fetch or whatever, but in a lot of cases, using another library to do your HTTP requests and whatnot, you'll need to do that. You still need to set up a Mongo database. You'll still need to use Express for an example. So yeah, Angular is not used to build the backend. All right, I'm going to finish up with some comments here in TikTok. Then I'll see if we can wrap up YouTube. And then we're going to call it a happy Friday, right? Let's see. Oh, what am I doing here? Man, I want to join AI engineering, how to start, and am a front-end developer. So yeah, there's a few technology stacks that you can choose for AI. Oh my gosh. I want to say, shoot, don't haze me for this. Actually, let me Google it before you guys give me a load of crap if I give you the wrong answer for the technology for AI. All right, let's see. So basically, I Googled if Python is used for AI. Let's see, Python is a rich library. It can also be used as a front-end language. That's why it's used in, yeah, Python. So I was right. So you can use Python, for an example, to do AI. I'm not familiar with any other techs out there. For AI, I've never really had an interest in it and never looked into it. All right. I don't know everything, but I sure know how to Google. And that's the secret sauce of being a developer. and, you know, code architecture, that helps a lot too. Let's see, isn't machine learning AI the best money makers? They do make a lot. Now, as far as position goes, like the job market for it, it's a smaller job market. So, I mean, look in your city or what areas are hiring for that type of developer. Yeah, so the commenter, Python, I heard is best for AI. Yep, it is. That's what I suspected. All right, so we're gonna pop back over here to YouTube. I'm gonna finish up with a few questions, and then we're gonna end this stream. I always try to keep it, you know, to 30 minutes, but I talk too much. This is how you can tell that I was in sales for like 10 years, and then I'm a sales guy turned coder, right? Because I'm so passionate about coding, so I could just talk about it forever. All right, let's see. I am Bear. Did you start off as a web developer or web designer? So I started off as a UI, mobile app and game designer. So I started building mock-ups for things like the user flow for apps and games. And again, self-taught. I didn't go to college for any like UI, UX, you know, teaching. I Googled a lot of stuff. I did, you know, some tutorials on it, taught myself that. But once I started building UI and things like that for apps and games, I also worked as a project manager working with developers and artists. And that's what really intrigued me to get into the development side of things. So it started with the UI and then dived into development. But you don't have to start that way. You can just start up straight up with dev. Let's see. So Alpha is trying to challenge me here. No, it isn't. You are up and running. There is nothing you need to do special on a PC. There's things that you need to do to get up and running on a PC for sure. I worked at Dell, and there was a lot of environment things that we had to do. Plus, Windows computers, A MacBook just auto installs drivers for you. Windows, you have to go through install wizards and all this junk. And I mean, you'll have to install different libraries and packages on both Mac and Windows to get up and running. All right, but there's things under the hood that Macs have that you can just get up and running with. All right, that you would need to download on a Windows computer. Let's see, this is the last question I'm taking here. They want people to train first for minimum wage, and then you may get contracted out after 2 years before, I think. I probably missed a question to that comment you made here. I Am Bear says, apparently Java can also be used for AI. That's good to know. Good to know. Let's see, Ranch asks, what is the minimum you need to know to start being an employee as a front-end developer? All right, so I don't know this. I guess this actually goes across the board, whether you're choosing web development, Android, or iOS as a front-end developer. You basically need to be able to ask yourself, can you build a CRUD application? All right, that's something that works with a database and makes API requests. Okay, create, read, update, and delete records from a database, because the reality is, as a front-end developer, you need to know how to communicate and work with APIs to load data into your application or your piece of web software. All right, it's not enough to just know HTML and CSS and build some fancy interactions with JavaScript. All right, you need to know how to bring data into your application, into your software. So as a front-end developer, you need to have a working knowledge. You don't have to be an expert, but you need to have a working knowledge of the backend and how it works and how to work with APIs. All right. All right. All right, everybody. I want everybody to have an amazing weekend, okay? And again, if you want some structure or guidance learning to code, we have the DevSlopes Academy for iOS, Android, and web development. You can go to devslopes.com/apply. Check it out. Get set up with a free career coaching call. Yes, the academy costs money. I'm not going to try to, scam you in and say it's free or whatever. But we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students in it. They're loving it. If you want some really cool challenges to, push your development skills and your algorithms and, thinking like a programmer and solving problems, check out the DevSlopes 30-Day Code Challenge. You can go to 30daycodechallenge.com, and we have these code challenges set up for Swift and JavaScript. All right, so very cool stuff. Everybody have an amazing weekend. As always, stay positive, keep calm, code on. Adios.